Hi, this is Chanel. Hope you're doing well. So the name of this video is the tree, the harvest, and the gifted fruit. Okay, and basically I will just be talking about my thoughts on the ways in which people interact with one another. Okay, which would be fruit. Okay, in this video, it would represent fruit. Okay, so we'll start with the tree. So like I said, the topic is the tree, the harvest, and the gifted fruit. The tree is, I think of humans as, or as far as this video goes in this topic, I would consider humans as the trees. Okay, so we start out as seeds. Okay, and as we grow, the health of the overall tree is dependent upon who's taking care of it, how well they're taking care of it, how it's being nurtured. Okay, so the water and the quality of the soil, the sun, where it's placed. And so there are a lot of things that the tree is dependent upon. Okay, and like I said, the quality of those things will, or the quality of the fruit that tree produces is largely dependent upon what it receives as it is growing from a seed to a full grown blossoming tree. Okay, so that's the tree. The harvest excuse me, the harvest is the fruit that blooms on the tree, right? The tree is grown to a capacity to where it now is producing fruit, right? And if you've had trees, fruit trees, I grew up, the house that I lived in as a child, we had a lot of fruit trees and such. And so one thing I know is that each piece of fruit is not going to be the same quality. Okay, so you'll have good fruit, you'll have fruit that may be imperfect, and you'll also have bad fruit. Okay, now, so as humans, nobody is perfect, and so just for the sake of this video, let's just say that you have the tree, we have fruit on the tree. Let's say we have an apple tree. Okay, and we're gonna separate the harvested fruit into three different categories. Okay, so we're gonna we're taking the fruit off the tree, and we're gonna create 3 different bags, and those bags are gonna depend on, or which bag that the harvested fruit will go into will be dependent upon the quality. Okay, so we got the good fruit, the imperfect fruit, and fruit that needs to be disposed of. Okay, so let's just say it's completely mushy, or maybe something has gotten to it that has caused it to no longer be edible. Okay, it's not edible. Maybe it's rotted. Okay, so again, the way that let me finish this. Okay, so like I say, we've got those 3 categories: good, imperfect, and just unable to be consumed. Okay, so I feel as though the way that we interact with one another, the experiences that we give one another, are very similar. Our words are very similar to fruit. Okay, so let's say let's start with words. Okay, the words that we speak to one another, if you were to categorize, whether it's you speaking or someone else speaking to you, if you were to categorize the words that are spoken, where would you place those baskets? Look at both yourself and also the people that you communicate with on a regular basis, and ask yourself what type of fruit you're giving, or what type of fruit they're giving to you. Okay. I'm very big on respect. I don't tolerate disrespect well. Okay. Because respect is one of the basic and easiest things that we should be able to give one another. Just respect. Okay. And so if someone is blatantly and regularly disrespecting you verbally, okay, ask yourself, do they speak to everyone in this manner, or do they only speak to me? Do they only give me this? Because I would categorize disrespectful words as rotten fruit or molded fruit. Okay, fruit that is not edible at all. Okay, you wouldn't consume it. Anybody in their right mind wouldn't give it to anybody else to consume. Okay, because it's rotten. Okay, and so if someone is giving you rotten fruit on a regular basis, and you look and say, okay, is this the way they communicate with everyone, or is it just me? You need to notate that, okay, because it says a lot. Is it good fruit? Are they respectful? Are they, is their way of communicating just more respectful? Okay, that would be like a good piece of fruit. Okay, it's not tainted in any kind of way. It's good fruit. Okay. Another thing that I have experienced with people is, now I've just given examples of both good and bad, respectful and disrespectful. However, there are also people that you will communicate with who can give you both. Okay, they can be respectful at times and they can be disrespectful other times. Okay, so you may get or experience both. Okay, notate that as well. So those are words. Second, I'm going to talk about experiences. So what type of experiences do you have with the people around you, and what type of experiences do you give other people? Now, we're not all the same, okay? So everybody does not want the same type of experience, okay? So that's where understanding comes into play, okay? I think it's important to understand and respect one another. And once again, like understand that not everybody wants the same experience. However, being respectful, I think is the easiest thing that you can do. Okay. I'll say this: when it comes to just respecting everybody across the board, but realizing that not everybody wants the same experience, I would say this: I am a sibling of two. There's me, and then I have one sibling, and our personalities are like night and day. Okay, and so the experiences that I would assume he likes with other people, I don't want. Okay. So, but overall it's about just being respectful. Also, I have 3 children who all have different personalities. I communicate with them in different ways because they are all different. Okay. And there are times when I try to communicate with all of them the same way. However, not everybody is going to respond the same way. Okay, so that takes understanding and me realizing that You can't expect the same things out of everyone. However, respect is priority. Okay. So again, so talking about fruit. When it comes to, again, the way people communicate with you, understand whether or not it's respectful, okay, or disrespectful. Thoughts, that's another thing. So thoughts is another thing that we give to one another. When we speak to one another, we're translating or giving a thought, okay? I personally, now, I see that there are, or I have noticed, I'm in my mid-40s, and it amazes me how many people I see hear information and they just accept it. It's kind of like somebody giving you a bad apple and you just bite it, right? Same thing with thoughts and ideas. When someone gives you a thought or an idea or put something out there verbally, you can't just say okay and agree with or take that as truth, okay? Because people say things for a lot of different reasons. There are a lot of people who are dishonest and manipulative. So they may do a whole lot of talking, and I've seen a lot. There are people who love to talk. They do a lot of talking. However, what they say should not be consumed. However, there are a lot of grown people who believe a lot of what they hear and take that as truth. Okay? And even just listening to people talk, I a lot of times ask myself, before this person let those words flow out of their mouth, did they even think about it? Did you even think about your own thought before you allowed it to flow out of your mouth? I hear a lot of people just say things that make no sense. So, and that's a whole nother subject matter there. Is people speaking without thinking, or maybe anyway, speaking without thinking, and also just making assumptions, and blatantly speaking on things that are just sharing things that are not true. Okay, it just amazes me how many adults do it. Okay, and how many adults believe a lot of what they hear, and again just consume it. Okay, and the reason I compared our experiences to one another, or with one another, with fruit, is like I said, we can't just consume everything we get. Now, there's good fruit, there's imperfect fruit, there's rotted fruit, and now, just accepting everything to me would be like somebody handing you a molded strawberry, okay, and you just consuming it. Okay, somebody giving you a bowl of molded strawberries full of mold, and you're just consuming them. Okay, that's not good fruit. But we take on other people's thoughts, and the way that we treat one another is like, or accept bad treatment is like eating or consuming bad fruit. Okay. Or offering other people, or trying to make other people ingest bad fruit. And so I think it's just important to understand and pay attention to what people are trying to give you. Okay, be it verbally, be it experiences. And another thing with experiences is sometimes it's blatant in your face. When it comes to, and I'm giving warnings, and so when it comes to bad or negative behavior, sometimes it's blatant, other times it isn't. Okay, other times it's underhanded. Okay, and so you may not know what you're getting. It would sort of be, I would describe this as somebody giving you a piece of fruit that appears to be good. However, maybe once you grab it or take a bite out of it, the inside of it is rotted. Okay, so you really don't know what you're getting until you've already bitten into it. And let's say the person who gave it to you knew that it was, that it's not something that should be consumed. They wouldn't consume it. However, they are intentionally giving you something that is not good. Okay. So, like I said, it's important, again, to realize or pay attention to. And at the beginning of the video, I talked about, or I said, imagine harvesting fruit off of a tree and separating that fruit into 3 different baskets or bags. Okay. Is someone continuously giving you molded fruit or, rotted fruit? Or do they continuously give you that? Okay. If so, you need to pay attention to that, because when a person is showing you that they are giving you something that's harmful, they want you to be harmed. Do you understand? In whatever way, be it verbally, be it with their actions, whatever the case may be. If someone is continuously giving you bad fruit, they want you to experience the outcome of that bad fruit. Okay. So it's just very important to pay attention. I'll say one thing that I've done in the past, earlier, much earlier in life, is I would give people chance after chance. Like I would see the fruit, okay, and I would excuse them for giving me that fruit, okay, thinking, okay, well, maybe this is the reason why I'm getting this fruit, or maybe they won't continuously give me this fruit, okay, instead of just saying, okay, well, this is the fruit that they want me to have, and making changes based upon what I noticed, instead of excusing it. Okay. More recently, I have tried to understand when being in situations where I notice people giving bad fruit. I would try to be understanding, or try to gain understanding. However, that was the reason behind it. Okay, so, but overall, you should definitely pay attention to what people are trying to give you. And like I said, in my videos, I try to give people warnings and just insight on things to look out for when dealing with people. However, I don't want this to be a negative video. Like I said, there are great people out here as well who give good fruit also. So also pay attention to that. Okay. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for watching. Feel free to like, subscribe, or write any comments. And again, thank you for watching. Bye.